Welcome to my Good Life Meditation. My name is Kurt. This is a daily activity that I do at 6 a.m. every morning. I do this to remember my life objectives and principles, those which are outlined in my book, Going Alone. I also use the time to think about the last 24 hours and how I did with any challenges or opportunities that I met. I go over the objectives of my creed outlined in the book, and I prepare for the coming day. But before I do any of that, I want to say welcome. And thank you for joining new subscribers. It's great to have you as a part of the channel. This is a video happening in Japan, but it's not necessarily about Japan. This is my daily journal entry to basically try to improve myself and thus improve my life and the impact and consequences of the fact that I lived. All right. To that end, I will talk about sensitive subjects like my own death. I also do want to say thank you for your support because by watching my video, by being a member on YouTube or a Patreon supporter, you make it possible for me to have the adventures that I have that I can bring to the channel. I thank you for that. All right, it's a rainy day here, so given that the rain is falling, I don't put out my wooden standing desk on days like this. It remains seated positioned right over there, safe away from the water. But I did, check this out, this is interesting. Well, this is interesting too. I always have, I don't really show you this. This is where the standing desk goes. And then I have this auxiliary platform here. I kind of call it the weather station because it can stay out in the rain. And I'll put my Japanese maples out there. These are the ones that usually sit back here behind, protected from the elements, so they can get a little water. And then down here, I put down, right, you can't really see it, but there's another live camera running right over there. So I've got, for the first time, 2 live streams happening simultaneously. That's an interesting first, I think. I kind of like having the maples up here. It's a nice camera angle here as well. All right, let's get started. So what I'm going to do now is, I'm going to do 3 things. I'll go over yesterday and talk about the things that happened that were noteworthy. I'll go over the creed, and then I'll prepare for the day. So as for yesterday, in my notebook here that I keep, I only have 2 notes from the last 24 hours. The first one says time balance, and the other one says outwardly stoic. And so neither of these are issues. I didn't have anything yesterday that was an issue that I needed to address, anything that I needed to tune myself or anything that was noteworthy. That what I'm looking for is circumstances during the day where I either behaved poorly or I behaved extraordinarily well. Because if I behave poorly and I review that, then I can find out, well, what was it about the circumstance or my preparedness, what about the tools that I use, my creed, that either enabled me to do a good job or to not. Because I can learn from both of those things. Sometimes I'll even discover that I need a new tool that I don't currently have in my arsenal. And my arsenal is the creed, which is outlined in my book, Going Alone, in the chapter titled The Good Life. So in that chapter, I tried to lay out, after 61 years, all the objectives and principles that I use to live my best life. Now, I've been really fortunate in that in about the last 2 weeks, I guess this is fortunate. Literally this is the longest streak I've ever had. It's been at least a week and a half. I literally haven't had anything that's come up that would be an example of me. No, that's not necessarily true. Hold on. I got pulled over by the police, as I mentioned the other day. And I handled that extraordinarily well. That's an example of a case where I had the unexpected happen and I handled it well. So that happened. Yeah. So I guess that's the case. But yesterday was a day where nothing extraordinary happened. But what I did note here, and I will note 2 things. I'll note 2 things in my notes. One, instances like I just described, where I either did well or didn't, and I want to explore in this exercise more of that. Or 2, I like to talk about the atmosphere of my life. So, like it's a rainy, cloudy atmosphere today, sometimes life has like an environment or a climate about it, climactic. Not like a crescendo, but it's an atmosphere. And this one note here, this first note here, is, and the second one, the first, time balance. I'm getting a better control over my time. I kind of losing track of when it's a weekday. Like I think it's a Tuesday today, and it used to be that my time utilization was brokered, dare I say, administered by my responsibility, enforced by my responsibility, brokered by my decisions of career and family. And I didn't have to give it a lot of thought. I knew, for example, that from the moment I woke up every weekday, that I was on a hamster wheel where I would have to run a certain number of paces and then have breakfast, run a certain number of paces, and then go to work, run a certain number of paces, lunch. You get the idea. In retirement, that's not the case. I wake up and I'm faced with this expanse of time that I can administer, broker, and utilize as I see fit, which was exhilarating for about 2 weeks, and then became pleasant for a couple of months, and then a challenge for a couple of months after that. And now 6 months plus in, I'm reaching this thing, the note here, this time balance. I also refer to it kind of as, it's a little bit different, the peaceful, easy feeling, but this time balance is a little bit different. This is a situation where I'm awake now, it's early morning, I've started the things I need to do, and I feel like I have a handle on them. Just like when I was a working man, I would typically, as a project manager, I would typically have about 5 meetings a day, and I ran all the meetings. And then in a 9-hour day, I worked a 9-hour day, because I worked in the schedule where every other Friday I got off. In that 9-hour day, I would run those 5 meetings, and the day would be punctuated by that. Now, and I didn't really have to think about it, the meetings were on the calendar, the day preceded. Now I kind of know what I'm going to do. I'll get up, I'll do my YouTube comments, I'll answer all the comments on YouTube. I'll take a short walk by myself up the river before Yumiko gets up, my wife. And then I'll do this at 6 o'clock. Then we'll take a dog for a walk at 7. We'll have breakfast at 8, and I'll start the day in earnest at 9. And then from there, that's the part. After 9 o'clock before was a little bit iffy. I was like, well, what am I going to do? You wonder, because if I'm not actively engaged, I'm not one to sit and watch TV. So I had to actively think about it. Yesterday was a really good time balance. I worked on videos in the morning, had lunch, Yumiko and I took care of Dad's lunch at lunchtime, and in the afternoon I donned my garden gear, and I spent the whole afternoon weeding in the garden. And I didn't make a video. I didn't make a good life meditation video. I wanted yesterday to kind of be an experiment of time utilization. And it's funny, I didn't actually cogitate that when I started out. I just started the day, and Yumiko asked me in the morning, she said, "Are you making a video today?" I said, "No, today no video." It yielded good results. Because the videos, making this, well, less this video is more for me. But making the Good Life meditation video, the Retiring in Japan video, that's definitely a performance of sorts. That's a job. It's a job I enjoy, mostly. But then yesterday, not doing it, like being in the garden, not having to think about positioning the camera here or capturing a shot there, or just being in there, hearing the sounds of the insects. And then at one point, I just put on my earphones and listened to a podcast that I wanted to hear from someone I know. So that's the note there, time balance. I really, really want this to be a new part of this life, this sense of balance. Okay, and the second note here is also interesting. It says outwardly stoic. And what I meant by that was that I, I could feel and perceive that I was being more the man that I want to be, that I've set out to be, than the man that I am at this time, which is speaking less. This is what I want to be. Speaking less, engaging with the world less, just kind of moving through life in a more deliberate manner. And I did that. That came part and parcel of yesterday's experience, and I realized that that was more outwardly stoic. That was good. Yesterday was a good day. All right. So let's go over the creed as outlined in my book, Going Alone. There are 8 objectives as follows. Told you, I talk about death. The first objective is to be always ready to die. And I have to ask myself and get an answer in the affirmative for 3 questions. Are my affairs in order? Yes, they are. Further, I worked on it yesterday. One of the things I did yesterday was go into one of our U.S. bank accounts and tinker with things just to make sure things are a little more tuned up. I also double-checked our budget for 2026, 2025 going into 2026. So, yep. So our affairs are definitely in order. Are my relationships sound? Yes. I don't have anybody that I'm on poor terms with. And then 3, is my life's work complete? Yes. It doesn't mean that life's done, but the things that I'd set out to do, or at least because I didn't set out to be a father, and I didn't set out to write a book. But in the course of things, those are the things that I wound up doing that were important to me. And of course, being a good husband also is part of that. But that's a given. That's the prerequisite. That's a dependency for being a good parent. At least it's a dependency in my mind, because I couldn't have done it alone. So yeah, I'm ready to die. Number 2, to make good and effective use of my time, to not let my days just fly by or just happen of their own accord, but to be as much as I can in the driving seat of my days. Number 3 is to develop and maintain good and sound life principles, which I do every day by doing this video. The purpose of this Good Life Meditation is to reaffirm the objectives, consider and reaffirm the objectives in this book relative to the life that I'm living, and then tune one or both as necessary. Number 4 is to cultivate good emotional reactions so that I'm responding well, like I did with the police officers that pulled me over. That was a good emotional reaction. Or I should say good reaction in general, largely due to the fact that I tempered my emotions. Number 5 is to perform good actions relative to my creed. Number 6 is to recognize my true limits and my true opportunities so that I'm striving for things that are reasonable to attain. I'm not so concerned about the stuff that's beyond me. And then the next one is to do just one thing at a time, and do the thing slowly, deliberately, and carefully, just as I'm doing right now. I'm slowly speaking, being very careful about the words that I say, very deliberate in what I'm doing now and all the actions that I take. And this is heavily reinforced by the fact of good living, by the fact that I drink very little caffeine, just a cup of coffee early in the morning to get started, and maybe one or two throughout the day. So I guess it depends on what you define as very little. Almost no alcohol. I eat very well. Avoid sugary, candies and stuff like that, or even processed foods. And I feel good as a result. Get lots of exercise. And then lastly is to keep my balance so that I'm not stumbling through life. Okay, let's read one of the principles. I think yesterday, I keep telling myself I'm going to dog-ear the book, but I keep forgetting to do that. I'm going to do it first thing. I think we did the principle of distraction yesterday, so today it's the Path of Wildness, which is easy to find. It's the course of a stream, leaves blown in the wind, beasts track through the brush, in the direction of our first inclination. The Path of Wildness was the concept of the Path of Wildness was the very first nugget of thought that became this book. I had the Path of Wildness idea while hiking in a mountain about 15 kilometers that way. And I then managed to leverage that into an entire creed and into a life story. Here you go. It's a very short chapter with a quote by Dr. Johnson. And I have to put on the character of Dr. Johnson. He who continues the same course of life in the same place will have little to tell. Samuel Johnson. This is me now. Embark when you are young upon that beckoning dream and adventure. Let it be the centerpiece and point of reference for the man or woman you will become, who you will become. Let the experience inform and guide your active philosophy, as well as the development of your own living objectives, principles, and standards. Oh wait, I'm reading the wrong thing. I'm like going, that's not the Path of Wildness. I'm reading the Great Life Adventure. Here's the Path of Wildness. Okay, it's got a couple of sub-principles here. Shadow divide and Ulysses ride. And here we go. No quote. Sorry about that. The Path of Wildness. At every life crossroads, I will assess the fact that a decision must be made, and then determine how much time I have to make it, and then collect my facts and consider the options, and then decide at the appointed time. So at every crossroads, stop, collect facts, assess how much time I have to consider and weigh the options before I make a decision. If my facts are insufficient, of course this is only relevant if it's an important decision, right? If it's like a decision about what am I going to have at McDonald's, I don't have to spend too much time on that one. But if it's a decision, am I going to embark on parenthood or not, that's a weighty one. Time to assess the facts, collect the information, pros and cons, assumptions, risks, etc. If my facts are insufficient and there really is no more time, this is the crux of the matter, then I will listen to my gut instinct. Let it have its say, and then perhaps move in that direction, confident in having made the best evaluation I could in a reasonable amount of time and with the resources and facts at my disposal. So, if I don't have a lot of facts, but I need to make the decision quickly, then I'll simply refer to my gut. So I'll allow whatever the first inclination I had was, maybe then that's what I'll go with. I see someone just bought something from the store. So, thank you for buying something from my store. I will be all right with whatever outcome, even if the next end is death. And I will beware the hard benefits which come of such change. So even if I make a mistake, even if that decision was the wrong decision and the result is death, I'm not going to lament the decision because I made the best choice I could with the limited amount of time that I had and the information and resources at hand, because I have to trust my gut, even though my gut may lead me off a cliff sometimes. But see, it's a subtle thing. I don't know if I'm saying this clearly. It's not a matter of trusting our gut absolutely. If we have sufficient time, then don't trust our gut necessarily. Listen to our gut, but collect the facts. Continue to do the objective, reasonable approach to things. But then don't continue that forever, right? So some people like think about it and think about it and think about it, and before you know it, your life is past, or the opportunity has passed, and you won't have that chance anymore. And I will beware the hard benefits which come of such change, the improvements which hurt, but which can be had in no other way. So sometimes the mistakes that we'll make in such a manner will yield to improvements that maybe we could get no other way. The shadow divide of the pain of change and the loss of what is no longer needed. So I call that, not the shadow divide. I keep saying divide. Shadow dividend. The shadow dividend is what we get as a result of the pain, the positive thing, the positive outcome that comes as a result of the pain of our poor choices or poor execution of choices. One more time. I will beware the hard benefits which come of such change, the improvements which hurt, but which can be had no other way. the shadow dividends of the pain of change and the loss of what is no longer needed, and I will suffer well through the decided pathways, like Ulysses riding the storm and temptation which he chose for his own. Referring in that case to the story of Odysseus, Ulysses, making his way through the storm, the weather side near the rocks where the sirens call, deciding to, instead of plugging his ears, to have the crew lash him to the mast so that he can gain the experience despite the suffering that comes. Okay, that's it for that. Now, for the next 24 hours, today is a shipping day. Business is doing pretty good over in my little YouTube store. So orders are coming in, including another order that just happened right now. So when I get orders, this is one of the nice things about running a boutique store. Whereas when I had an antique business before, I was churning. I needed to churn because I needed revenue to come in to support the family. Now it's kind of just like a hobby, and I can find like really fun items instead of having to find lots of stuff. I can find just the fun ones. Like I'm just about to list this item. It's beautiful. It's metal. Don't know what kind of metal, but it's a sake flask. And look at that asymmetrical kind of flask. I really like that. Isn't that neat? So I can list stuff like this. And then when an order comes in, I can take my time. Like I like to get a little candy to put in the order and pack the box just right. And like today, I have a couple of orders. I had one from the other day, and then another one just came in now. So I'll go to the hardware store to get the packing material, go to the candy store to get the candy, put it all together and get it in the mail. And it's kind of fun. So, and I only do one in retirement. I only require of myself one thing a day, and that's going to be shipping. Although Yumiko says that today's a good day for me to go get my eyes checked, so I'll do that as well. And the eye checking thing is probably the key thing. Because when I sell things, I have a 5 to 10 day shipping window, so I'm well within that time. But I like to get things out as soon as I can. So if Yumiko Yumiko sets up my appointments, so or they're not appointments, you just show up. So she helps me basically. All right. Let's read comments. Do I need my glasses? I told you I need to go see the eye doctor. Let me get my glasses. So Whiskey was saying the sound is off, but then Tim says that the sound is working. And then Erica says she can hear fine. Erica says hi to everybody. Missy Boo, hi Missy Boo. I really liked one of your comments this morning, Missy Boo, on one of the on one of my videos. Thank you. I responded to it. I always appreciate your comments. I appreciate everybody's comments. Erica is going, says hi to Missy Boo. Tim says, time is really weird at the start of retirement as I treated it like I was still at work, so doing everything in retirement at a work fast pace. It took me some weeks to slow it down. You always make such insightful observations, Tim. I really appreciate it. I'm learning a lot from you, Senpai. Missy Blue says, hi to Erica. Erica says, Kurt, are there any foods from America that you miss or crave? I moved to another state and I miss certain foods that they have. I guess not. I'm pretty satisfied with what I've got here. I was kind of the opposite. When I lived in the States, there were lots of things I missed from Japan, but not so much the vice versa. Give me a few more months or a year or so. Maybe I'll feel that way. Tim goes on. Time is a harder balance than you think. Sounds a little crazy when in reality it shouldn't matter so much. It really is harder than I would have imagined. Yeah. Missy Boo says, sorry, Erica. Blooming auto spell kicked in. LOL from Erica. Rubies, 200. Kurt, was there ever a time when you were unemployed? How did you handle that? There was a year in 2003 from like late winter 2003 until like spring 2004 when I took time off. It was when we first came to Japan, and I took a year off to ostensibly study Japanese, but I basically was free most of the time. And how did I handle that? And I handled it really bad. I went into a deep depression. I didn't handle the freedom well at all. So I started my antique business, which I'd had on the back of my mind when I came to Japan. But I started my antique business as a way to escape, to give myself something to do to escape my depression. I mean, it was really, really bad. I didn't handle freedom well, and it was one of the things I was worried about going into retirement. So fortunately, that hasn't returned. I'm not depressed. I'm just a little confused at times. And I think that has to do with the fact that I'm relieved of responsibility. Well, no. Back in 2003, I didn't have I was rich. I had $1 million in the bank. I wasn't responsibility then, which I lost. I lost all that money, but I didn't have responsibility. So it was just maybe immaturity. It was just being young, right? I don't know, confused. Maybe I'm less so now. Robert says hi to everybody. Hello, Robert. Good morning to you. Missy Boo says hi to Robert. Mog, hey Mog. Good morning, Kurt. Hope all is well. My week is off to a good start at work. Then I'm off to Sweden for a week to see my girlfriend, and work give me a green light to work remote. Wonderful. Well, I hope you have a great time in Sweden. How nice. And what a great employer you have to give you that time off. Ruby's200 says hi to Robert. Michelle, good morning, Michelle, or wherever you are, whatever time is your. Hello, everyone. I enjoy watching you all go antique shopping. Looks like fun. Thank you. It is a lot of fun. I'm glad you like coming along. I spent some extra time this week at the antique place, just trying. Really, what I didn't buy very much. I just bought one item, well, two items: the plant and a little tool that we added to our toolkit. But I bought less because I focused more on taking photos and sharing the experience of the antique market. So I'm glad that you enjoyed that. I was shifting the focus from basically buying antiques to making a video. Missy Boo says, that's great, Mog. I hope that you have a great time. Mog says, thanks, Missy. I haven't seen her since Christmas, as she has been having finals, and it's her last year at university. Much needed visit. Terrific. Warner Kov. I'm sorry, my eyes are a little old. Welcome. I don't think I've seen your name here before. Woohoo. I'm so excited. Thank you again, Kurt. Cannot wait. My family has been doing bonsai since the 40s. Plan on using these incredible shears for just that purpose. Oh, you're very welcome. Yes, your order is first on my list. Yumiko was using them downstairs, and I told her, give me the shears back. They've got a new home. And she told me, she said, you're going to have to find me new shears, Kurt. So I will. So that's kind of what we're doing with all the antiques that we have that we're selling in our store. We buy them, we list them, and then we put them to use in our house as either decorative items, or in the case of Yumiko, she's got a little plant in the kitchen and she's been trimming it with that. And then when someone buys it, we go find it wherever it is in the house, sell it, ship it to them, and then go to the antique store and get another one. So it's kind of like, before I would as an antique dealer, I would buy all these items and put them in a box and wait for someone to buy them. Now we buy them and we put them to use until someone buys them. I hope that people don't mind, but they're used anyway, right? Hi, Mog. Robert says hi to Mog and Warnerkov, and I can't wait to get them to you, Warnerkov. Warnerkov, I'm sorry I didn't recognize your name. Sorry. Thank you again, and the video showing Nagakuma, fantastic. Wow, that brings back memories. Oh, I'm glad you like that. And I was so hesitant and reserved, and I didn't really film very much. Now, that old man that met us, he was so nice. So I'm going to go back with a gift for him. I'm probably going to bring him maybe this sounds not right, but he likes to smoke. He gave me a cigarette. So I'll bring him a pack of cigarettes or a carton of cigarettes or something. He lives alone up there. And I'm going to make a proper video of Nagaguma. So definitely. And you know what I did, Warnerkov? I also found the old video of that same village, the Japan, the village close encounter. It's 18 years ago. And I took the snippet from this weekend. I snippet that out and I added the old one to it and put them back to back. That'll be going live, I think, in June 18th. I've got a big backlog of videos, but that'll be going live later this month. Warnerkov goes on. So very nice that old timer to host you all. That's an side of the Japanese countryside you don't get to see often. No, he just saw us sitting there, came over and introduced himself. It was true. It was really nice. Ruby's 200 says, thank you for answering, Kurt. You're very welcome. Blue Tanuki. Hey, Blue Tanuki. Hi, Kurt and chat, folks. Been super busy, so I haven't joined live much. Still catching up with your videos. Have a great day. You too, Blue Tanuki. Take care, and it's always good to see you over in Discord. Blue Tanuki goes on, I got detained by the police once while I forgot my residence card. Oops. Ooh, that's a biggie, right? I imagine you got, yeah, that's, well, they take it all seriously, right? But that's a bad one. I'm not throwing any shade your way, just pointing out more for myself. Don't forget your dang resident. I did that this morning, actually, Blue Tanuki. I actually went for a walk, and I left my wallet here, and I got about halfway through the walk, and I was like, oh, I don't have my residence card with me. But not much chance to see the cops out in the Inaka countryside, right by the river. Gerald Lang says, hey, Kurt, ordered the Guinomi sake cup. Great. Yeah, I saw an order just go flying through. So that must be you buying the sake cup. Or was that or Gerald, no, you bought the other sake cup. Right, I remember that. I shipped it to you. Hopefully it arrived already. Yeah, I remember. Well, you got a nice cup. Oh, I sent you the tracking number, by the way, as well, Gerald. Warnerkov, let me know if there's any problems, Gerald. Warnerkov, oh no, I feel so bad. I feel bad for depriving Yumiko. Is she especially attached? No, she's 100% welcome to hang. No, don't worry about it all, Warnerkov. We can get more, and they don't. I don't see them. Your pair is the only pair that I've seen so far that I liked that came up. So, but we'll find another one, no problem. And her dad has lots of tools. We can borrow one, and I do have one in the shed that I use in the garden. She can borrow that too. But thank you for your kind thought. Going to order the tea when it's stocked. Yumiko and I were just talking about that yesterday. She was asking me if people are interested in tea, and I told her I had a couple of people that were interested, and we're just waiting. Literally, the tea is being harvested. It was harvested, and now it's being processed. And our supplier is a neighbor of ours down the road, a childhood friend of Yumiko's. And as soon as it's ready, we're going to be getting it, and I'll be listing it in the store. So I'll make sure and I'll note of that when it happens. Gerald. Warnerkov. The OG video is one of my top favorite of the channel. The tour through the shrine is so serene, perhaps the fact that it was raining misty. Oh my gosh, the two people that came, Jason and Hannah, that I took up to the mountains, they got an experience. I mean, the weather was just stunning. I mean, they got an experience coming to Japan. Like you couldn't order it out of a catalog. You couldn't pay. It didn't matter how rich you are. You'd have to just time it to get that kind of experience with that atmosphere and the fact that man came over and talked to us and walked us through the village. Robert says hi to Gerald. And Wernerkopf says, original Village of the Long Bear video, rather. Yeah, I know the one you're talking about. Yeah, and that's the one I did. So what I did was, okay, I had the Retiring in Japan video, which included the Village of the Long Bear revisit as a snippet, right? I realized that it would be fun to, or I thought, it would be fun to take that snippet and then take the original Village of the Long Bear video, which is 18 years old, and then put them back to back. So I have the first part and then the second part, and that's what I did. I uploaded it today, or last night. But because I have this backlog, I don't want to overwhelm viewers with too many videos, so I queue them up. I put them on schedule to upload. I think that one's going to upload on the 18th of this month. And get this, for the thumbnail, remember the original Village of the Long Bear? The thumbnail shows the picture of the old woman, because remember, she met us, just like in the old man. She met us, and she invited us into the house to make mochi, right? So the original thumbnail has her, and then it says something like Japan Encounter. And I had the new thumbnail, I made the new thumbnail with the new man, and it says Japan, like something Encounter or something like that. So the two they're like bookends. I can't wait for it to upload. But we got another 2 weeks or so for that to go. So Gerald says, I ordered the other cup today. Oh, you bought the other cup. Oh, okay, great. All right. So yeah, I saw the order go through. I wasn't sure what it was just yet. I hadn't checked. Great. Well, I will get that one in the mail to you. So Gerald, I guess that means that the other cup, the first cup, arrived safely. You know what, Gerald? I've had you on my mind because when I was at the antique market the other day. I was looking at some teacups, and your interest was kind of channeling through my eyes, and I was looking at it, like, okay, I know what I like. What would Gerald like? Because Gerald's a teacup or a sake cup aficionado, and so I was trying to see it. So you actually influenced my. I didn't buy anything. I'm very, very discriminating now about what I buy. I'll go and I'll wander through the flea market or the antique store for 2 hours, and I'll come away with nothing now, because it's got to be something like this. I just made the video for this. I just showed you guys this, but some of you may have been here. This is a tokuri, a sake flask. I mean, I'd never seen this. I got this at an antique store, and my favorite antique store in Shimizu. It's metal. Look at that. It's like, I've never seen one like this. It's just so cool. I just love it. I don't even drink sake, so I'm going to list this, and I'm probably going to buy some sake, even though I don't drink much anymore, just so I can sit out here, put it in the evening, and have a little sip of sake out of this until someone buys it. So Gerald, your patronage is definitely influencing, and your patronage and your interest is influencing what I'm doing as a buyer. And I can't wait to get that order out to you. I've got another order, the pruning, well, actually 2 customers right here. I've got Warner Kev got the pruning shears, and Gerald bought the sake cup. Gentlemen, Warner Kev, I hope you're both gentlemen. I don't know if I'm getting that wrong. I can't tell from the name. Your orders are the primary thing I'm going to be working on this week. I need to go see the doctor. I've got eye problem. So I'm going to, my primary thing is to get your orders out. I need to go to the hardware store to get boxes, and I need to go to the candy store to get more candy for you guys. But so I got to take care of the eyes, and then I'm going to take care of that. But you guys are the top of my list. This is so fun to be able to talk to you guys about this too, so to speak. Warner Kip says, "Wow, I'm so excited. I'll be interested to see how they've changed in that time. I noticed they added handrails to the iconic shine strip." They did. There's a funny story for that. So they added the handrails. Now the man that escorted us, there's the old Ray up, and then there's the handrail Ray. He's kind of like a village elder, and as we started to go up the shrine, I started to follow him up the old way, and he's like, no, take the hand way. So he's an old timer. He's a long time brother. He's taking the old way, right? But I had to take, because he wanted us to take the safer way. So you notice the handrails. I did too. Get this. We passed the house where the old woman 18 years ago had taken us in, and I told him, and I even brought up the video, and I started playing the video, and I said, this is this house. And he's like looking at it. He's like, that is the same place. You were here. He's like so stunned. And I said, are they still there? And he said, no, the old woman has passed, but he says their daughter lives there. And I remember meeting her daughter when we were there, because she showed up and she came in the house, and there were like 3 foreigners in there with a grandma and grandpa, and the daughter's like, what's going on here? So she lives there now. Now I plan to go back and to get to know, hopefully I'll get to see her again. I'm so impressed, Warner Kev, that you remember all of that. Oh, I completely forgot the old woman making mochi. How wild is that? All those years later. Yeah. Gerald says, hello to Robert. Warner Kev says, oh, take your time. No rush at all. Thank you. Take care of those eyes first and foremost. Thank you. I really do appreciate it. The eyes have been a problem for a little while. It's not so bad that I can't drive, but it's a sudden change that happened all of a sudden. So before I have prescription made, I wanted to let the eyes kind of like whatever's going on get finished, because I didn't want to get a prescription and then like the eyes continue to get bad. You know what I mean, right? So we've come far enough. Warner Kip, that's so cool. I bet it blows my mind. I remember the friendly dog from the... Yeah, you remember that friendly dog? I forgot about the friendly dog until you said that, the one that would always bark as I would walk along the river and go to the left, and there was always that dog there. You're right. That house, I believe that house is in Akia now. Oh, get this. You're going to love this. Okay, the old man, he and I were talking. Do you remember that there was a house across the river, like a big estate there, and a footbridge went across? Well, a typhoon has washed that footbridge out. And I saw the house across the river, and I asked him, does anybody live there? And he said, no, that's an Akia now. And then I asked him I said, are there a lot of Akias in the village? And he said, yes. And then I hazarded, I said, because Yumiko and I don't think I've told you guys this, Yumiko and I thinking about maybe trying to rent or maybe even buy a house in the countryside. Eventually, maybe in a year or two, a couple of years. So I asked him, I said, is there any chance that a foreigner like me might be able to buy a house out here? And he said, oh yeah. He said, it'd be real cheap. So I didn't pursue it any further because Japanese don't, ooh, giant suzumebachi just flew past. Japanese don't do like we Americans do. We don't make small talk about potentialities. You know, we Japanese tend to talk about stuff, they're serious about it. So I'm not going to bring it up. He said it out there. I'm not going to bring it up. What I'm going to do is go back, get to know him more. Because if I could buy a countryside house, I'd want to buy it in the village of the Long Barrel. That'd be perfect. And maybe over time, I'll be able to rent something like that. Or maybe even buy it. And then what we would do is the antique business, instead of furnishing this place with the antiques we buy, we'd furnish that country house with it, right? Wouldn't that be cool? So then if you guys buy something from me, then I have to drive out to the country to go pick it up to send it to you. And thank you again, Warnerkoff, for your patience while waiting for me to get for your order. I'll get it to you for this week for sure, and for your well wishes regarding the eyes and for remembering the dog. Gerald says, I stayed at the Yoshima Inn in Kyoto tea house. I was walking around at night and I got lost initially. All of a sudden, cops show up and trying to get me in a police car. I was like, I'm okay, found my way. So you were walking around at night outside. Oh, so they wanted to help you out, I guess, right? Was that it? They'll do that, right? If they see something. My experience with the police has been, they're very curious. A lot of times they're kind of bored. And their perspective is a little bit different. They see themselves as the keepers of the peace, which I guess was what police are. So they will, I've been accosted. I think that's where I've been met by the police many times. And my experience is that if I can just resolve their curiosity about who or where I am, who or what I am, and that I'm here on right terms, and they'll sometimes want to look through my bag, and they have the right to do that, and I yield to that always, and they send me on my way. Yeah, to me it's just part of life living here. I'm glad you found your way. I'm glad you had that experience. What a great story you got out of that, Gerald, huh? I do remember, Warnoff says, I do remember that house and the cozy little chair seated right along the small overlook of the river. You remember that? Wow. Warnikov says, what an amazing place to buy a cheap fixer-upper farmhouse. Wow, especially there with all its history. Yeah, that would be a real homecoming of sorts, right? Okay, well, I've reached the end of comments, and it's probably getting to be on time for Yumiko's getting up. Time for our dog walk soon. I've got another camera running out there in the rain. There's 2 lives going on. It was raining kind of hard earlier, so I set it up out there just pointing at the shed, just so you guys could hear the rain coming down. So I'll better go grab that as well. Turn that off. Get this item listed, get the dog started, get my eyes checked, and get your orders in the mail. Gerald Lang goes on, I walked by a small police station is why it happened. Initially a big scene with me, a tall blonde guy, and the police everywhere was looking at us. Yeah, they'll do that. Thank you, Kurt. I was watching that live for a while. Oh, good, Robert. I'm glad I could bring that to you. I'm trying to find a place in the garden, Robert, where I can place the camera, have an interesting view to look at. I like to put it out there when it's raining, but also I need to be within the Wi-Fi distance. So like right there, it's sitting right there, it's getting full Wi-Fi power. I can't put it out in the garden unless, well, I can put it out in the garden, I just go 5G. What the hell? I'll do that. I'll just put it on the garden. No one's going to steal it. Thank you again for all your efforts and good luck with the eye check. Thank you so much, Warnock. All right, Robert says goodbye to all. Good luck with the eyes, Kurt. Thank you, Tim. I really do appreciate it. And Tim, always thank you for your perspective as a fellow retiree. I learn a lot from you. Have a great day, everybody. Be safe, but not too safe.